Hello and welcome to Bilty's book review number 11. Hope you're well, hope you had a good weekend. Right, this one, Sun Tzu and the Art of War for Executives. Fantastic book. I love history. I love learning from history. And this COVID-19 has been often cited as a war. And in war, you need generals. And generals offer certain traits. And Sun Tzu, 2,500 years ago, and in the time of Confucius, and he is succinct. It's an easy book to read, but really strong messaging behind it. Any sector, any business will benefit from this book. And it led to the unification of China all those years ago because he was really powerful thinker. In the way that he came up with tactics and strategy. And using Oriental philosophy on a Confucian level, they look at the universe as a constantly evolving thing, a long-term thing. They don't look at things as short-term like we tend to do in the West. They're, I think there was a question to Mao Zedong that said, about capitalism's rise and what have you. He said, what do you think about capitalism and it being going on 100 and 200 years? And he goes, he said, I think you'll find it's too early to tell. And those are the kind of, they look long term, and you can see in the strategy that's going on in the world, they're playing a long game. Unfortunately, our friend Mr. Trump is, apart from being a complete fucking idiot, is falling completely into their trap. And if he read Sun Tzu and the Art of War for Executives, he cannot realise. And so what it is doing, it's talking about being adaptable and with changing circumstances. So it's a fantastic book now for people to read. If you're leading a business or want to lead a business, you want to create new competitive advantage, you want to come up with new ways of doing things, this is how to adapt your organisation. It's a really useful book. It's talking about innovation. It's a weapon which cannot be defended against, which I love that, because obviously if you don't know it's there, then you can't defend against it. And so he's saying come up with new and creative ideas of how to really deliver a competitive advantage in your marketplace. A little quote from it: "The ultimate warrior is one who wins the war by forcing the enemy to surrender without fighting any battles. The best military strategy then is to use superior positioning. After that, use diplomacy. After that, use military force as a threat. Only when all else fails, attack your enemy." And I think this is the kind of the approach that you kind of take. You get the competitive advantage. Interesting, when I used to climb mountains up in far-flung places, and you would be going with a guide who, these people are, survival experts and this, that, and the other, and they always said to me, "Simon, if we ever get into a position where I have to use those skills, I've failed." Because my aim is to keep out of those kind of circumstances where I need to use those skills. And again, if you're a crisis manager, then you failed, your process has failed and what have you. And with the changes that we're all going to have to deal with when we get back to work properly, is we're going to have to be adaptable, we're going to have to be creative, we're going to be innovative, we're going to have to not do the same thing again. And the lessons in here are very, very powerful. Talk about data and not just information, but insight that you get from it, and also disinformation, how to spread, if you like, disarray amongst your competitors by coming up with alternative things. Alternative information, and talking about speed of action. Once you know what you need to do, acting on it quickly and decisively to do that, and maybe diplomacy rather than force, but you've got to act on it quickly, because otherwise the information degrades. And saying the most expensive form of information is old information, because you're trying to fight yesterday's battles. And this is my concern with coming back into the world. Everything is reset. It's like turning a computer off by holding that button down. Everything is reset. So what was, won't be. So you need to come up with the new rules of engagement and the new battle plan for when you get back into the world of work. The customers that historically used to do things won't do things in the same way again. You need to be being innovative and coming up with new ways of doing things that if you like, piques their interest and makes you relevant when you're coming back into the new post-COVID world. And it was saying, focus on your objectives. Really focus, keep absolute focus on what you can deliver, innovative, new and relevant to get that competitive advantage, but keep your strategy secret, which is pretty, keep the certain stuff that you want to keep to yourself. It says, if you know your constituents, your competitors and yourself, your strategies will not fail, even if you're challenged 100 times. If you know only yourself, but are ignorant of your constituents or your competitors, you can expect to fail as often as you succeed. And this is the thing, again, it's coming back to listening and understanding your customers, etc., etc. And the other thing it said is there's going to be a change, morphing of the marketplace. It says if you've vanquished your enemy, don't chase after them. It's just a waste of your resource and a waste of your time. They're withdrawing from your marketplace. You don't have to follow them down and hunt them down. It's just a waste of time. Keep focusing on your strategy and objectives, which is great. And the other thing, there's a chapter on burn the bridges, as it's called. Don't make failure be an option. So when they used to advance, they used to burn the bridges behind them. And this is what conquistadors did this and all this. They used to burn the boats. So the only way is forward. And this is where it's difficult for an organisation to make it the new way is the only way, because otherwise people will revert back to the way we always used to do it, and that will just dispel, because there's always an option to go back. He said he creates a situation where complete success or total failure are the only options. Pushes his organisation forward and then burns the bridges behind. There is no escape from the commitment forward. So that was quite nice. And chapter 9 was called manoeuvring, and it's really fascinating psychology about what happens in a negotiation, as we would call, and this is in diplomacy and what have you. And there's about 30 different things that if they're doing this, then this is what it means, and it shows up the weakness of the people you're negotiating with, or whatever. It's quite, or your competitors, or whatever. Really, really fascinating going back. So, in summary, there are 10 different things. Learn to fight, show the way, leadership, do it right, it's the ethics, know the facts, data-driven decision, expect the worst, so, if this doesn't work, what else? What's plan B, what's plan C? Seize the day, speed, burn the bridges, failure is not an option, do it better, continual improvement, pull together, teamwork, bonding, loyalty, and keep them guessing. This is misinformation. So really relevant, I think, for today as it was 2,500 years ago, and I would strongly recommend. And as I say, it's not a heavy book, and it's really easy. It does make you think. So Sun Tzu and the Art of War for Executives by Donald G. Krause. Strongly recommended. Have a great day. Take care of yourself. Bye.